Do you know why Will Smith slapped Chris Rock? And what impact on his career? Will Smith, an acclaimed actor and producer, rose to fame through infectious charisma and versatility. Known for iconic roles in Men in Black, Independence Day, and Oscar-winning performance in King Richard, Smith's career has navigated blockbusters, biopics, and diverse genres. In June 2023, Will Smith surprised fans with a YouTube video promoting a free-to-play zombie game showcasing weapons on a post-apocalyptic set. It was a quirky watch, considering his iconic status in Hollywood. As I dig into his career, it's clear the days of single-handed box office domination like I Am Legend. His Oscar win added prestige, but even before the recent controversies, his career felt in flux. I'm more interested in Smith, the actor, amid all the noise about his personal life. For years back, I highlighted his charisma and range, but noted his tendency for safe roles. Bad Boys made a comeback, but Men in Black and Independence Day sequels struggled without his presence. The idea of an Independence Day movie without him? Pure action vehicles like the very technically impressive Gemini Man also failed to connect with audiences, which, to be fair, was from the often great director Ang Lee. He also did an animated movie with spies in disguise, which was definitely greeted with a shrug. As the result of not having something like Wick or Equalizer, we've seen Smith take roles like Deadshot in Suicide Squad, which was quickly shunted aside and rebooted without him, and the live-action Aladdin, which was actually a huge hit. But obviously, more of the credit there was given to the property rather than Smith himself. One of his more overlooked films is 2015's Focus with Margot Robbie. Sure, it's nothing overly ambitious, but it's a rock-solid crime caper film that gets a lot of mileage out of the charisma of its stars. I feel like if that hadn't completely gone unnoticed and had been marketed better, probably with a title that wasn't so nothing, it could have provided Smith with the kind of franchise stability that other older stars have found. So, those are his recent-ish popcorn films. And aside from some box office bright spots like Bad Boys for Life and Aladdin, it hasn't been super smooth sailing. Box office hits aren't everything, right? The prestige or art house-wise stuff? Smith and his team seem to have a knack for choosing scripts that miss the mark compared to his peers. Winning an Oscar for King Richard was strategic, but the film didn't stand out among glossy biopics. When asked to stretch beyond his charming persona, Smith shines, displaying remarkable acting chops. However, their choices in prestige dramas haven't been as successful. Take Concussion in 2015, which received lukewarm responses and faced accusations of re-editing to please the NFL. Smith felt slightly miscast, despite delivering some touching moments. Then there's Collateral Beauty, a perplexing magical realism drama that, although sincere, feels contrived and lacking. Emancipation in the Last Year, directed by Antoine Fuqua, offered a gripping historical action narrative but struggled for attention due to Smith's personal life overshadowing its impact. While critics were divided, I find it intriguing and believe time may be kind to this film. Even when he worked with Night in After Earth, it was at a very low E in the director's career where Smith had the clout to bring in his team and significantly reshape the script. Will Smith had a very well-crafted movie star persona that was incredibly successful. It only made sense to be protective of that image and try to be very selective about roles that leaned into it in the best light. But that brings us to today. Between that ill-fated Oscar night and the past couple of years of reporting about Will Smith's personal life, I think it's safe to say that movie star persona has become far more complicated, at best, and maybe kind of shattered, at worst. That process has been uncomfortable, it's been weird, and I'm sure fairly embarrassing for all involved. But there's a reason I'm not calling this video the end of Will Smith's career or something like that. Because as much as people have mocked and criticized the guy for the past couple of years, I do think there might be a small silver lining to be found here. But there was something genuinely unflattering and uncomfortable about some of the stories in there. And I came away from it thinking that Will Smith was ready to move on from the brand of Will Smith, the light, family-friendly entertainer of Parents Just Don't Understand and Men in Black, who is always up for some fun, wholesome laughs and action. And now, for better or worse, that image has been changed forever. How that happened was, not great. But I think now that he doesn't have that very precise image to maintain, why not try to get more artistically daring with his career? Why not take a great lead or even supporting role in a Paul Thomas Anderson or Bong Joon-ho film? Or seek out exciting younger talent that would have a hard time getting financed without his name and place his trust in them? At this point, really, what is there to lose? Why not take some bold film role risks that the Will Smith of 2005 never would have on the big screen? Speaking of 2005, have you ever heard of Will Smith's hip-hop album that came out that year, Lost and Found? After the slap, I remember a lot of people online discovering how strange and kind of angry that album was. The weird Will Smith of 2022 had been hiding in plain sight all along, and no one noticed. The weird Will Smith of 2022 had been hiding in plain sight all along, and no one noticed. The thing is, though, I wasn't shocked by Lost and Found. I knew that album very, very well because in 2005, I was a weird homeschooled kid in 7th grade that was listening to Will Smith instead of Kanye or T.I. But one thing that comes through very clear in Lost and Found is Smith's insecurity about not being accepted by his hip-hop peers. It's all over that album, recognizable to me even as a kid. And I would say that sense of insecurity applied to everything is felt throughout his memoir as well. And look, I'm just about the last person who is going to weigh in on if he was actually a talented rapper or not. I don't feel especially qualified to do that. I would, say unequivocally that I think he can be a great actor beyond just Will Smith, the movie star brand. And even though his next movie is another Bad Boys film, which is probably a safe career choice after the past few years he's had, I do think there's so much left unexplored for him as an actor and an artist, separate from chasing the dream of being the biggest movie star in the world. We see glimpses of it in movies like Pursuit of Happiness and I Am Legend, and I want to see that on screen and in the hands of filmmakers who can mold it into something new and exciting. And as someone who has always really liked the guy's work and followed his films closely, I hope ultimately it can be a worthwhile one. You've probably never won an Oscar the same night you did the weirdest thing of your life, but maybe you're also looking for a new chapter. Thanks for diving into the world of Will Smith with me. His journey through blockbusters, biopics, and more continues to shape Hollywood. Stay tuned for more on this iconic actor's evolving career. Subscribe for all the latest celebrity news first.